Hello, good evening, everyone. Hi. Awesome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kayla Slater. I am a registered dietitian and online plant-based dietitian, nutrition, and run coach. And thank you so much for Virtual Veg Fest for having me. The past couple weeks I had to cancel my Wednesday lives, but I am back, which is so exciting. So very excited and glad to be here. If you are watching this live, just comment below live so I know that you're here. Say hi. And if you're watching this on replay, just comment below replay so I just know that you also checked out this video. So tonight, if you're with me, we're going to be talking about fueling. So fueling pre, during, post, fueling for runs or workouts, what that looks like. I want to kind of quickly, briefly kind of talk about that. And then I will answer any questions that you guys have. So these lives are just really for you to just learn more about plant-based nutrition, specifically for athletes, because that's my wheelhouse. But really, also as a dietitian, any plant-based nutrition questions that you guys have, you're welcome to ask any questions as well. So with that said, anything else? Oh, also shout out to Shroom Meats. That is the sponsor for this month of April for donating their prize pack. You can also enter the monthly prizes or monthly contests at virtualvegfest.com. So make sure to do that. Also, please make sure that you also follow and like Virtual Veg Fest, their page, as well as their YouTube as well. So with that said, is anybody on? Hello, say hi if you are on, and we'll just get right into it. And as I said, if there's any questions you guys have, please post below. So fueling, I wanted to talk about fueling. I think this came up last video training that I did. I believe this came up before, and I wanted to talk about it. So what does fueling look like pre-workout or pre-run? So we'll focus on that. So pre-nutrition, if you are doing a workout or a run, maybe that's less than 60 minutes. What I would recommend is eating between 5 to 10 minutes is perfectly fine, and you just want to eat something light. So maybe that's a piece of fruit or a bar. I love Laura bars. They're made out of dates. To just my favorite. But it doesn't have to be. But the best thing is just to have something light. Piece of fruit works really well because it's simple carbs. So that is what I would recommend. If anything, if it's anything less than 60 minutes. When you're doing a higher intensity workout, run, or a longer run that's over 60 minutes, my recommendation is to try to have something between an hour and 4 hours for your body to digest, because you're going to want to eat something a little bit more than what you had before. So you want to have something that is high in carbohydrates, but also it's important to make sure that it's low GI as well as low fiber, which I know can be difficult and challenging if you eat plant-based. So when you eat, most of the whole food plant-based foods are mostly high in fiber. So this is where for athletes and those that are active, where you might have to kind of change things up a little bit, like having white rice or a white bagel. A plain bagel is something that would be good to have before I run or workout. Let's see what else. Smoothies. Some of my clients like to have smoothies before workouts, runs. That works as well. And oatmeal. Oatmeal is an exception, even though it is considered something that's high fiber. It's actually easily digestible, which is great. So oatmeal may work as well. And pre-nutrition, the biggest takeaway or thing that I like to really emphasize is to just make sure to practice and experiment with what works for you. I know a lot of people don't eat anything before or after. If you're watching this, let me know. Do you usually eat anything before or after a workout? So I know a lot of people, they don't because of GI issues. So my recommendation is to really just trial and error, practice it, because on the day of your event or your run or your race, most likely if it's over an hour, you're going to want to fuel before. So it's important to practice that. And let's see, during. So any questions about pre-workout or run nutrition? Okay. I don't see anybody popping on here yet. That's okay. I see some hearts though. Yay! Thank you for giving me some hearts. And during fueling. So what to fuel during? So this takes into play a lot with endurance training. So my background, right, is, as a runner and as an endurance athlete, is working with endurance athletes. So for during, it's so important to make sure that you have electrolytes as well as carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are what give your muscles and your body the energy that it needs to keep running. So it's important to have, or the recommendation is about 30 grams of carbohydrates every 45 to 60 minutes. So what I use myself is Huma gels. They are vegan, they are natural, but there are also a ton of other products out there. There are also whole food options. I know a lot of people, especially that are in the ultra running world, they really prefer, that are whole food plant-based, really prefer to also fuel with, even during the race, with whole foods, which is fine. You can do that. So like mashed potatoes, pretzels, crackers, dates, things like that are easily digestible. They're, quick energy. So things like that can be helpful for during. You're welcome, Eddie. So that's what my recommendation is for during, as well as I said, as well, electrolytes. So electrolytes are important, not just sodium, but also replacing potassium and magnesium. That prevents cramps. And, especially if it's hot, prevents dehydration, which is definitely very important in endurance events, any endurance event. And then post nutrition, what does that look like? Post nutrition, you do want to try to get protein and some carbohydrates, because you want to replace the carbohydrates that you lost or that you used up. But you also want protein, because protein is what's going to help you to recover your muscles. And that is what prevents soreness. Also, it's really what's really great about being plant-based is plant-based nutrition is known, or there's some, I guess, some research out there, and not a lot, but some out there, and personal experience as well, that say that, or what I've heard as well from other people, is that plant-based nutrition helps that recovery process and speeds it up, which is really, really great. But I do recommend to try to have something right after your workout or run within that 45 minutes. You've probably heard, when, taking protein shakes. And I know a lot of my clients as well are whole food plant-based. So they're like, well, I don't really want to have a powder. So what I recommend is, you may not really need a protein powder every day, especially if, like, after your runs or workouts, if you really can. Obviously it's better to have whole foods. Maybe my favorite is tofu scramble and a bagel. That is like my favorite go-to post run meal. And I try to have that within that 45 minutes to an hour. But if that's not doable, or also, even just making your own smoothie, adding in beans, spinach, fruit, all of that good stuff is also another option. But also, for, if you are doing, say, a triathlon or a marathon, and there's no other options for you, or maybe you can't get somewhere where you can sit down and have a good meal within that hour, that's perfectly fine. I do recommend, though, or suggest, try within 2 hours to have a good balanced meal after that, after that event. But what you can do, and what I suggest to clients, is to actually use protein powder here, because that is probably the easiest, simple thing that you can do, just to get that protein and carbohydrates in within that 45 minutes, an hour. So I recommend people, and I do this myself as well, I bring my protein powder in my shaker, and usually after the race, they give you a water bottle. So I just mix it up in that. And then I have my balanced plant-based meal within 2 hours. So that is what I recommend, as well as what I do as well. So any questions about any of that? So that's pretty much a quick summary of really plant-based fueling, pre, during, and post run. So any questions on any of that? I know I had some questions last time I was here, so I want to make sure I answer your guys' questions, and I have about 5 to 10 minutes I can spend on answering questions. So we don't want to make these trainings too long, but I'm definitely here to answer any questions that you guys have. So let's see. I don't see any questions yet. So let me just summarize everything that I just talked about. So pre-nutrition, 5 to 10 minutes, something light like a piece of fruit, or a bar like a Laura bar. During nutrition, you want to have 30 grams of carbohydrates every 45 to 60 minutes. That could be gels. You could also use dates, mashed potatoes, pretzels, those sort of foods. And then post nutrition, you want to try to get in carbohydrates and protein. You do want to try to get that protein in within 45 to 60 minutes, and have a well-balanced meal, at least within 2 hours of finishing your event or run. So that is really a summary of all of that. So as I said, does anyone have any questions on what I talked about with fueling, or even just any questions in general as well? I'm here to also answer any questions that you guys have about plant-based nutrition. If you would love to ask a dietitian, definitely willing to answer any questions that you guys have. No questions? All right, it looks like a few people are on. Not very many people are on. Oh no, my laptop's gonna die here too. Let me actually just plug this in real quick so it doesn't. I do have my charger right here. Okay, there we go. All right, any questions? No one has any questions for me. I see a couple of people on. No one's commented. If you are joining me, as I said, just say hi, say hello. I want to know that you're here. I want to know that you're watching. And let me know if you have any questions about plant-based nutrition. Oh, yay! John's on. Hi, John. What are your favorite gels? Yeah, so my favorite ones are Huma. I don't have any with me. I'm not in my apartment, as you guys may notice. I'm actually home with family in New York, but my favorite gels are Huma gels, and I'll tell you why. So they are natural. There's not a lot of junk and other stuff in it. It's a very natural gel, and then they're also vegan. They're made out of chia seeds, and I also don't think they're as sweet. But for me, I don't like. I think all I actually have left, which I'm gonna have to use this weekend because I have 60 miles to run this weekend. But it's the chocolate. The chocolate flavor isn't my best, but for me, it just feels like I'm eating like a brownie during my run, and it's like too sweet for me. But the other ones are not bad. So those are my favorite. There are other options I know out there, but those are what I usually recommend to clients, and usually I think most of them have really liked them and like them as well. So they're good. Definitely a good brand that I like. I'm trying to think of another. There's another vegan brand of gels that I can't think of. I know there's another brand too that's very popular, but it does have honey in it. So for those that are strictly vegan, that may not actually be vegan. What is Honey Stinger? Honey Stinger is also another one. But as I said, I don't think those are vegan because they have honey. And Goo's, Gu. Goo is those are the brand that I've used a lot, but I switched over to Huma because I just felt that it was more of a natural, and I really liked that about those gels. So I hope that answered your question, John. Thank you. Oh, and then thank you. Glad to be here and share all my knowledge. Awesome. Any more questions that you guys have? All right. Awesome. Oh, John said, do you put powder in your water when you run, like Tailwind? Yes, I've used Tailwind before for during my run. So I do have a Camelback, and I've used that before on long runs. And I just add my Tailwind powder to the water. The only thing that I've noticed is now that it's sticky, and I actually think I'm gonna have to get a new Camelback because I just can't quite clean it. So that's the only struggle that I felt that I have with that. But I do think it's a good idea to add, a Talon or some kind of electrolytes to your water when you run, because it is a good idea to have not just to drink water during runs but also to drink those electrolytes. And Talon is great too because Talon actually has some carbohydrates in it, so it's not a bad idea, right, to have some extra carbohydrates and extra energy, especially when you're running long. So yeah, definitely a good idea to do that. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? This is so fun. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, even after I am, not live, I will be back next week, same time as well. Or you can always, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly on Facebook either. I'm also on Instagram. So definitely reach out to me if you guys have any questions at all. Thank you again for Virtual Veg Fest for allowing me to be here, and also to our sponsor, Show Meats. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.